Let's talk about section 4.6. Section 4.6, we're going to be dividing polynomials. So we just got done talking about multiplying polynomials. Let's talk about what dividing polynomials means. And there's really two different types of division. First thing we're going to talk about is division by a monomial. So I want to make one comment before we get started, that you can break up a numerator over a denominator, but never break up a denominator. I'll show you what I mean by that. Six plus 2 divided by 2. We know 8 divided by 2, of course, is 4. You are allowed to write this 6 divided by 2 plus 2 divided by 2, which is 3 plus 1 or 4. That's fine. You're allowed to do that and everything's good. What you're not allowed to do is if we had, let's say, 4 over 3 plus 1. You're allowed to break up a numerator, so 6 divided by 2, 2 divided by 2, but you're not allowed to break up a denominator, 4 over 3 plus 4 over 1. This is really wrong. So you could break up a numerator, you just can't break up a denominator. I want to remind you of the quotient property that we talked about. Quotient property that we talked about in our last class, that if you have x to the 5th divided by x to the 3rd, we subtract those powers. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of those examples. What if we had 10x squared minus 25x plus 35 all divided by 5? You're allowed to break up the numerator. So we could write this 10x squared divided by 5 minus 25x divided by 5 plus 35 divided by 5. We're dividing by a single term, so you write everything on top divided by that single term. 10 divided by 5 is just 2, 5x, and then 7. If there's nothing to divide the x by, then you just leave it alone. What if we had 4x to the 4th minus 7x to the 3rd plus 12x squared? And we're dividing this by 4x to the 3rd. We could write this 4x to the fourth divided by 4x to the third minus 7x to the third divided by 4x to the third, and then plus 12x squared divided by 4x to the third. And I'm always going to go back. Just remember the properties. When you divide the same base, you subtract the exponents. 4 divided by 4 is 1. X to the fourth divided by x to the third is 1. You can't do 7 divided by 4, so I'm just going to leave it 7/4. And this would just be x to the 0. We'll remember what that means in a little bit. 12 divided by 4 is 3. 2 minus 3 is -1. So anything to the 0 power, what was that? 1. And we can't have a negative exponents. So last class we talked about bringing those to the bottom. So this would be the final answer. And we'll do one more. What if we had 6a squared b to the fourth minus 9a to the third b to the third plus 4a to the third b to the fourth, all divided by a to the third b to the fourth? Similarly to what we did before, we'll write everything on top, divided by on the bottom. And 6 divided by 1, of course, is 6. A squared divided by a to the third is a to the negative first, and then b to the 0. We'll finish it up on the next step. 9 divided by 1 is 9. A to the 0, b to the negative first, plus 4, a to the 0, b to the 0. We know anything to the 0 power is 1. If we have a negative power, we just bring that to the bottom. So this would be 6a minus b's on the bottom plus 4. All right. The other type of division is called long polynomial division. This is something you might have learned in elementary school. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you an example like 321 divided by 2. I'm going to show you that with a college algebra example, like x to the second plus 2x minus 3 divided by x plus 1. So I'll show you them side by side. This first example, we're going to write 2 divided into 321. In this example, we're going to write x plus 1 divided into x squared plus 2x minus 3. If you remember back to middle school, the way this started is you figure out 2 times what is 3, or 2 times what gets you close to 3. The answer is 1. And then you do 1 times 2. Then we subtract. And we get 1. Bring down the 2. 2 times what is 12? The answer is 6. Then you multiply and then subtract. (12 minus 18 is -6. Actually, what am I doing here? I got distracted. I'm sorry, guys. I got a little distracted. Bring the 1 down, bring the 2 down. So 2 times what is 12? The answer is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. I apologize. And then we subtract, those cancel, and then we just bring down the 1. 2 doesn't go into 1, so that's the remainder. The way you write your answer is you say 16 and 1/2. The remainder goes on top. The divisor goes on the bottom. Similarly, with polynomials, it's the same thing. So try to follow this. We're going to be doing the same 2 steps we just did. X times what is x to the second? X. Then you multiply and subtract. X times x is x squared. X times 1 is 1x. And then you subtract them. This would be 1x minus 3. X times what is x, right? Remember, we always look at the first terms. X times what is 1x? The answer is just 1. Then we multiply and subtract. 1 times x is just 1x plus 1. But then we have to subtract them. And we get -4. X times what is -4? The answer is nothing. This is our remainder. So the answer would be x plus 1 plus the remainder over the divisor. That's how we do division. It's the same as when you were in middle school. Let's see here. I'll make a note that if we're missing any term when arranged in descending powers, we use 0 as a placeholder. I'll show you what that means in a second. So what if I asked you to do 4x to the third plus 3x minus 8 divided by x plus 2? Well, first thing we do is we set it up. We say x plus 2 divided into Now, 4x to the third, but you see how there's no x squared term? You have to put 0x squared and then plus 3x minus 8. Now everything's the same. X times what is 4x to the third? The answer is 4x squared, and then you multiply that by everything in front. 4x squared is 4x to the third plus 8x to the second. But then you have to subtract them. 0 minus 8 is negative 8x to the second plus 3x. And then this process starts over again. X times what is negative 8x squared? The answer is negative 8x. So this would be negative 8x squared minus 16x. But we have to subtract those. So we're subtracting a negative, subtracting a negative. Negative 8 minus negative 8 is just 0. 3 minus negative 16 is 19x. Bring down the negative 8. And then x times what is 19? The answer is 19. And then multiply 19 times x and 2 would be 19x plus 38. But we have to subtract those. Negative 8 minus 38 is negative 46. So your answer would be 4x squared minus 8x plus 19 minus 46 over x plus 2. We'll do one more of these. What number? What if we had 4m to the fourth minus 23m to the third plus 16m squared minus 4m minus 1 divided by m squared minus 5m. Okay. Let's go ahead and do the division. M squared minus 5m, but notice we're missing a number here. Anytime you're missing something, you have to put 0, otherwise you're going to get stuck. So let's go ahead and do the same thing we just did. Look at the first terms. M squared times what is is 4m to the fourth. The answer is 4m squared. Then we multiply and subtract. So 4m to the fourth minus 20m to the third plus 0m squared. But you have to subtract them. That's where most people run into trouble, is they forget to subtract. So these will cancel. Negative 23 plus 20 is negative 3m to the third plus 16m squared minus 4m. So let's keep this going. M squared times what is negative 3m to the third? The answer is negative 3m, and then we're just going to multiply that times everything. So this would just be negative 3m to the third plus 15m squared plus 0m. And then we subtract them. So this would cancel. This would just be 1m to the second minus 4m, and then just bring down the negative 1. It looks like we have to go one more step here. M squared times what is m squared? The answer is just 1. And then you distribute that. So this would be 4, let me see, m squared minus 5m plus 0. And then we have to subtract those. So you just get m minus 1 as the remainder. There's a lot going on here, so you have to make sure you're paying attention when you do this. If you miss one sign, the whole thing's going to be wrong. So just make sure you take your time. As far as what the answer would be, you would write 4m squared minus 3m plus 1 plus the remainder over the divisor. You guys get the idea with this? Yeah. I wanted to talk about one more thing before we're done. Looks like we only have about 10 minutes left. That went pretty quick. I just wanted to talk about dividing functions. So like f over g of x is what you'll see. And it's kind of similar to the problem that we did in the last section. This just means you take f of x and you divide it by g of x. So let's say for f of x is equal to 2x squared plus 17x plus 30, and g of x equals 2x plus 5. Let's find f of g of x, and this will be the first part. And remember what this means. This means we do f of x divided by g of x, which is 2x squared plus 17x plus 30 divided by 2x plus 5. We just did this. It's just a matter of the different notation. So if we're going to do division, we'll set it up exactly the same way we did the last problem. 2x times what is 2x squared? The answer is just x. Then you multiply and subtract. So 2x squared plus 5x, but we have to remember to subtract those. And bring down the 30. 2x times what is 12x? The answer is 6. And 6 times 2x is 12x plus 30. So we get, when we subtract, a remainder of nothing. So we just figured out f over g of x is equal to x plus 6. The last problem for tonight is going to ask you to find f of g of -1. What this means is find f of g of x, which means f of x over g of x, that's the first step. We did already. We know that that answer is x plus 6. And then we're going to plug in -1 for x. So -1 plus 6 is just 5.